So this is a topic that over time has been suggested many times before, but I was always quite reluctant to talk about it, simply because it has already been discussed to hell and back way before I even started my channel. But with Assassin's Creed Origins on the way, I figured, why not give my 2 cents about it. So, the Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade. Is it practical? Well, I'm gonna have to say yes, to an extent. I mean, there are some complications that you would get if you would use the Hidden Blade the way that is shown that they use it in the video games. But I also figured out a very simple change that would make the Hidden Blade a lot better. I mean, well, I didn't really figure that out. When I played the first Assassin's Creed game, I kinda already thought that this was the way that it was, simply because that made sense in my head. But I eventually figured out that it wasn't. In any case, I'm gonna tell you at the end of this video. First, let's talk about the Hidden Blade. Now, I am, for the sake of this video and for the sake of argument, I'm gonna have to assume that whatever construction the Hidden Blade has, that it works. Okay, we know that there are ways to create a Hidden Blade. People have done it before, and I'm just gonna have to, for this video, assume that whatever construction is used on the Hidden Blade, that it functions and that there are no mechanical flaws, right? So it functions the way that is shown in the video games. That being said though, I would also say that I think the Hidden Blade is kind of unnecessary. I mean, the Hidden Blade is made with the concept that you have a blade that is hidden, and they are assassins, right? So you can very sneakily draw your blade, or you expose your Hidden Blade and stab somebody, and then swoosh, and nobody would see it. Well, the thing is, it's not that difficult to conceal and draw a dagger, just a normal dagger either. I mean, I like the concept of the Hidden Blade, it's really cool, but when you look at it from the assassin's point of view, like an assassination point of view, it's not really necessary. A normal dagger would, in most cases, do. They're pretty easy to conceal, and very quick to draw as well, so, yeah. What I am most interested in, for the sake of this video, is the combat, because you can also fight with your Hidden Blade. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go into details about the techniques that they do in the video games. That will be a topic for another video entirely. But I will say, if you would fight with your Hidden Blade, there are some problems that you would encounter. And I'm not talking about the concept of getting your hands chopped off, right? Because that would rely on the techniques that you would do, and I would say that it would be very hard to not get your hands chopped off if you would parry with a blade attached to your wrist. But theoretically, you can practice that and become very good at it, so that you are skilled enough to prevent your hands from getting chopped off. Theoretically, you can do that, so I'm gonna let it slide for now. What I'm talking about, the main problem is that the Hidden Blade is connected to a vambrace to your wrist. Like this. You got a blade, and it's connected like that. It's different in size, but whatever. Right? It's connected here, and it shoots out like that. And then Altair, of course, does not have a ring finger, and his blade is, when he makes a fist, it's right there. But Ezio still has its fingers, and it's kind of like this, right? When he makes a fist, it's kind of moved back a little bit, or the blade is a little bit extended, something like that. In any case, it's strapped to their wrist, to a vambrace. That is not really secure. The thing is, even if your vambrace fits really well, that is gonna come loose over time. You see, if you parry with a blade like this and stab people and do all kinds of weird shit, this blade is essentially just a big lever, right? Like that. So that vambrace that it is connected to is gonna wiggle. It's gonna wiggle and wiggle and wiggle and wiggle and wiggle, and it's gonna slowly come loose. So the main problem that I have with this is that over time, your Hidden Blade will get loose. And if you fight a lot with it, which supposedly they do, then you would basically have to re-strap your vambrace after every single fight. Now also, if your vambrace comes loose and you stab something fairly solid, like somebody with a bit of armor or just thick clothing, if your vambrace isn't stuck enough to your arm, then what's gonna happen is this. The blade is just gonna slide down. Well, the blade wouldn't slide back in to its holster, but the entire vambrace would kind of just slip down on your arm. And if you would try slashing with it and parrying with it, well, if the thing wiggles, that's not going to be as easy, is it? So, and the only way that you can really prevent that is if you strap the vambrace on so tight that it would cut off the blood supply to your hand. So that's not an option either. I would say that most of the things that is depicted in the video games that people do with the hidden blades is at least theoretically possible if you practice. It is possible. They don't do any superhuman feats with it. But just in practice, when you're talking about really actually wearing it, the thing will get loose. It just will over time. You're gonna have to constantly strap it on again. So that's really a downside. That is not gonna be very comfortable. It would look very cool, but you would be better off just carrying a normal dagger, because then you can just draw it, stab it, and put it back. Stab with it, I mean. And put it back in its sheath, and you're done. You can also carry a normal dagger on your wrist as well, you know, inside of a sleeve, then draw it like that, stab somebody, and then put it back without anybody noticing. Yeah, that's the main downside that I feel like the hidden blade has. It's a very simple thing. It would just get loose. There's no way that you can strap a vambrace on so tight that it wouldn't get loose. It would just get loose. Now, I have a solution to that, and this is the thing that I kind of figured as a child was already how the hidden blade worked, but apparently it wasn't. And that is, quite simply, give the hidden blade something along the lines of a crossguard. Well, not really a crossguard, but like a horizontal bar alongside the blade that you can grab onto. And here's the thing. Instead of, like, Altair might have less of a problem with this because it's kind of in between his middle finger and his pinky, so you can kind of squeeze it together, but I don't think that's really secure. So the thing is, what I think Ezio should have at least, is as his hidden blade comes up, he should be able to wrap his fingers around a horizontal bar. You know, like this. So that he has something to hold on to, with the blade extending, in Altair's case, from his ring finger, but in Ezio's case, he would still have his ring finger. So here's the solution. On the blade of the hidden blade, at the base of the blade, make this a lot thinner, so that you can very comfortably squeeze it in between your fingers. And now you might say, Jelly, that would make the blade so much weaker, that would cause it to break off. Well, no, not per se, because although it needs to be thinner in this direction, it doesn't need to be as thin in this direction, because, well, you're not stabbing with that part anyway. It's at the very base, right? So you can just take this same amount of mass that the blade normally has and squeeze it into a different shape, into a rounded shape, so that it's comfortable to be in between your fingers, right? And have a horizontal bar, something like a guard like that. And then you can have a blade that you can very comfortably hold like this, with a horizontal bar here, and a blade that extends past a very small dull bit, like a ricasso. You will still have all the benefits from a hidden blade. You can still use the hidden blade the same way that it has been used, but now it will be way more secure because, one, you're holding it in your hand. So it essentially becomes more like a push dagger. But the downsides of a push dagger is, one, that again, the blade is sort of a lever. So the push dagger might either want to go like this, or it might want to snap your wrist up or down, or something like that. But with the hidden blade, it's also connected to your forearm, right? So it's connected to your forearm, so your wrist can't snap, and you are holding it, so that absorbs the main shock that you have when you hit somebody or parry somebody with that. So your vambrace does not get loose, and it cannot slide down and stuff like that. And basically, you can still use the hidden blade the same as they have been using it, except for when they assassinate people with their hands open like this. I would recommend them making a fist, always kind of punching with it. But in the end, that wouldn't really change much because they very often make fists anyway. So that's basically the main point that I wanted to make with this video. The hidden blade, is it plausible? Yeah, sure. It's not the smartest thing to do. It's really cool, but it's not the most practical, but it is plausible. However, I would say if at the base of the hidden blade, it would be a lot thinner, like the width of a pencil, for example. A pencil, really comfortable to hold like this, just like that, right? So you would have the same amount of mass as the blade, but it would be thicker in this direction and thinner in that direction, so that you can squeeze between your fingers, and a small horizontal bar that you can hold on to, just like that, and the hidden blade would be a lot better, because it wouldn't get loose and it wouldn't wiggle. In the end, I might talk in the future about the techniques that they show in Assassin's Creed, how effective those would be, but for now, this is the main point that I want to make. So, if you're stuck around this long, you might as well subscribe and also follow me on social media. Links are in the description below, and thank you for joining my quest, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Bye guys.